Welcome to Live, Life-Inspired Views for Every Day. My name is Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul. Last week, I read an article by Elaine Godfrey that was published in the Atlantic magazine. The article was entitled, How to Make Life Feel a Little Nicer. It included readers' tips for finding small moments of joy in one's day. Godfrey had previously written about her desire to self-rejuvenate through small amounts of joy, and she asked her readers to send in some tips that they found helpful, which she published in this latest article. I love the one by Meg, a 71-year-old woman from Saybrook, Connecticut. She wrote, "Is it a cliche to point to morning coffee as an immediate, life-affirming delight? Each day contains exactly one first sip and no more. You need to make it through the whole day to earn another, and then it starts all over again." I probably was drawn to Meg's tip because of my own favorite time with coffee each morning, reading and sipping it from my Harvey cup. But I really liked what she said about it being delightful because each day contains exactly one first sip. The rest are sips, but they are not the same as the first one. Oh, I can relate to that pleasure. What else struck me is that her delight is both in the present and in the future. I try to live in the present more than in the future, which is full of unknowns, and today it seems a lot of worry. But Meg delights in the present by savoring the first sip and yet looks forward to the next morning to repeat the delight of the first sip. I've mentioned before that people often ask me why I can be so happy all the time. Well, I've always lived by two philosophies. One is that I don't want to be 108 years old looking back on my life and say, why didn't I? The other philosophy of living is that every morning when I wake up, I do look forward to something. It can be that first sip of coffee or something bigger. These last couple of years, I have pondered if the philosophy of looking forward to something is robbing me of some way of living in the present. But I think it is when we dwell in the future unknowns that make it a problem. Around 5 o'clock the other morning, I woke up and couldn't get back to sleep because my mind ran with what ifs. Living in a time where hope is being sucked out with each new headline can make those dark morning hours cause for one to ask, what is to become of us? In the article, Is Stress Good for You? Daniel Kirsch, president of the American Institute of Stress, says, although the word stress originates from a Latin term meaning distress, not all stress is harmful. Adding, I call stress the spice of life, for without it, life would be dull and boring and actually unlivable, because stress is the basic mechanism of human physiology and responsible for our mental and physical states in health and disease. I thought that was pretty interesting. This article described eustress, spelled EUSTRESS, as the golden child of stress. This kind of stress can be positive in one's life. It comes from mild stressors which require a moderate response and helps us maintain equilibrium. Eustress can help build resiliency because it makes us aware of the things that make us anxious, and then we can develop tools to deal with those things in some way. I'm reminded of one of my favorite YouTube videos that I have shown to my classes over the years. It depicts a young man jumping into a taxi, rushing on his way to work. They have a near collision with a car in front of them. The other driver jumps out and begins yelling and berating the taxi driver for nearly running into him. The taxi driver smiles at the man, nods his head, and waves. The man in the back of the taxi asks, "How can you be so calm and friendly?" The taxi driver turns around and says, "People are like garbage trucks. They run around with garbage. They're full of disappointment, full of frustration, full of anger. And when their garbage piles up, they need a place to dump it on. And sometimes they'll dump it on you. But you don't take it personally. You just wave, smile, and you wish them well, and you move on. Don't let their garbage spread to the people at work and home or on the streets. You love those who treat you right and pray for those who don't. See now, life is 10% of what you make it, and the other 90% of how you take it. Isn't that cool? Gotta look that one up. So when you wake up and your mind is full of the things that might happen, mentally smile, wish them well, and move on. Then focus on that sweet thing in your day that brings you joy. A little something to look forward to. This week on your bathroom mirror, write, when stress takes control of me, I will smile, wish it well, and move on. Then I'll take a moment to think about that thing that brings me joy. Join me next Monday for Live, Life Inspired Views for Every Day. I'm Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul.